All right, we are on air. It is Thursday, October 13th, 10/13, Chris Carter's birthday. If anyone's a big X-Files fan, or not. Anyway, it's a bunch of other stuff on 10/13 too. It's Backdrop Day. So this week, we are 1 week out from Bad Camp, and all of the backdrop stuff went on at Bad Camp. So I'll try and review feedback on that as well. Let's head in with MC updates. I don't know if anyone else here has any updates. Nothing super urgent going on at the moment. Okay. Infrastructure tasks. So the first item under infrastructure is Backdrop's Pantheon and Drush integration. And I'm not sure if you've been following along with that recently, Jeff, but I did send Matt an email asking if he would do the Pantheon demo at the Backdrop Summit, and kind of hinted that I'd like to demonstrate that it worked with Drush in hopes that we could kind of get a little movement on the Drush Pantheon integration stuff. And he said that he looked at it and did send Greg some more information on how the Drush dashboard works. And there is some additional work that needs to be done to have the dashboard recognize Backdrop differently from Drupal and WordPress. So hopefully we'll get a little movement going on that this week. I don't know if anything's happened in the issue queue, but there has been emails going around. So I don't know if we get it done by next week, but it'll be nice. All right, the next release, maybe we should kick this over to Nate, 151.
Yeah, okay. So the next release is 151, which I'd hoped to release this past week, but that didn't come to pass. But we'll definitely get it out before Bad Camp, so that means this week. 1.51, we've made some really important fixes that they've already been merged in, all of the most important ones, including, let me load it up. Let's see, we fixed the upload, we fixed the installer module so that it works for manual module installations, which is great. Let's see, we fixed some issues with the hero block. Oh, this is important. We fixed the homepage layout by default so that it uses a drop-down menu. So basically, I mean, there's nothing like super critical in 151, but there are some pretty serious like confusion issues that could potentially be caused by the bugs that are in there right now. But those have all been fixed. There's a new batch of issues that I need to review as usual, which is awesome. That looks like they could all potentially go in as well. So I'll probably get in 5 or 6 more of these minor issues, and then we'll make 151 out. There's an issue at 2267 that is the once 151 is out, or actually in the preparation for 151, go through that checklist. After 151 is out, we plan on making it so that Pantheon gets updated. Historically, that's what we've been doing, although in the future we're hoping, like starting with 1.6 and the new feature-free cycle, we're hoping that 1.6.0 we can push out to Pantheon directly rather than waiting for the first bug fix release like this. So anyway, that's it for 151. It should be out in the next couple of days. This is a little odd that that's in the infrastructure tasks, I guess. Well, anyway, that's what's in the agenda. Next item is backdropcms.org. Jen, do you want to take it back?
Sure. I also agree it's a little weird that's in that part of the agenda, but that's where it was. So sorry about that. Anyway, what actually is infrastructure is our website. And we've got 3 things that are kind of on the most important to-do list. One of them is getting case studies up, and I would love to be able to get at least 2 case studies up on the site by BadCamp, and those are the 2 that we're going to have case study presentations on at the Backdrop Summit at BadCamp. That's wishful thinking because we have designs, but we do not have any implementation of case studies on the site as of today. But we'll see. I just thought it would kind of pair nicely if we could let people kind of go home and show off what they learned at the summit. So we'll see. The next item is documentation, which I think is coming along really well. I don't know, Tom, if you have an update for us, but I would love to know when that is ready to link up in the menu. So when you get close enough, you think it's good enough to go, we'll throw a link in there.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I've gone through and corrected all the punctuation, usage, and spelling. The one item that I have to do is go and put screenshots in wherever they're needed. And I think I had posted something about the possibility of getting those to expand. Can't remember, it was color box, I think is what you had. So
yep.
If we can get that going, then I don't know if I should do that before or after. So
I would say the screenshots are not a blocker for putting the documentation into the menu. I think as long as you're comfortable with the language, that can go in any time and we can add the screenshots as we have them. I don't want, because there's a lot of places where we could probably have screenshots and we can put them in whenever. Adding color box module to the site is also pretty straightforward. And I think, you know, the next time anyone's in there, I think I said I would look at that today. That can just be added. I don't think it should be a blocker for anything. It'll be okay without them and better with, but I don't think it should prevent the link either.
sounds good.
Great. And then the third item for the website, which is long overdue, is getting the forum figured out. It just hasn't been a priority because we've had so much other stuff going on and not enough people working on it. I know Doc Wilmot has done a great job porting the forum module, testing it. He's even got like a PR open against core so we could have end users try it out. That is next on the list as soon as we get documentation linked up, which I think should be any day now. And when we get the showcase is done, which should also be any week now. So hopefully we'll be able to return to the forums and make sure people have a place to talk about Backdrop shortly. The next item under infrastructure, oh, there's no more infrastructure. The next item is for Backdrop CMS project report. And we've already talked about the bug fix release 151. Should we talk about any of the important bug fixes that maybe won't make that release? Looks like layouts.
Yeah, we have an issue for that, making the hero be full bleed, like left to right across the entire width of the browser window. But yeah, that we haven't gotten any real great solutions to that problem yet. So maybe some more discussion might be necessary there. That might not be possible in 1.5.
It's definitely possible. There's 3 possible solutions already. They're just not.
Yeah, ready. It's a matter. Yeah.
Maybe
possible
not core worthy.
Acceptable maybe are not the same thing. Well, anyway, that issue is 2190. If anyone wants to take a stab at those solutions, or take a stab at a different solution, or reviewing the existing solutions that already work, but are a little bit, we'll just say not pretty. They're not necessarily ugly, but they're not pretty.
Yeah. I think that this is kind of, this is very typical of Drupal, right? Where Backdrop and Drupal are kind of the same in the sense that there are definitely 5 ways to solve any problem. Are any of them ways that you would be comfortable like blogging about and being like, look at this awesome solution? I don't know. There's definitely lots of solutions. I don't know where our line is for what we want in core. Like, I feel like we need to figure out how big an issue this is for people, because right now it's like we have a hero. It's just not a full screen hero. It's an old school, like my website fits inside this box kind of hero. And if we're okay with that, then maybe we're fine with leaving core really pristine. But if we want the feature that is really pretty green, like maybe we need to sacrifice our morals a little bit for the quality of the code that goes into core. So I don't know how to make that decision because I'm not particularly picky about how clean the code is. I'm also not particularly aware of like how pretty the pretty feature is. So it'd be great to get more people's eyes on that and say like, how important is this feature? Is it important enough that we're really willing to put some ugly code in core? Knowing that people will likely copy this and do it for themselves. Like, is it a tool we're giving them to be like, hey, look at this cool hack you can use? Or is it like we're teaching them to do bad things? I don't know. But yeah, anyone who's watching this and wants to weigh in on that, I would love more feedback.
Yeah, an idea we haven't suggested yet, and I'm hesitant to do it now, but here we go, is that we could make a whole nother round of layouts again. Like we could deprecate all the current ones and make a whole new round that has the divs that we need that would allow for this flexibility. Because we almost had these at one point, right? But then we backed down from it and we're like, no, fewer divs. And now we created the situation that we're now in.
we could override the default.
There's no reason to create new layouts if the only change is markup. Like that's what themes are for, is to change the markup. Like what a new layout would be acceptable. Region, a new things that we don't already have.
I think an acceptable one might be overriding one layout if it's the home page and make the top region fluid by just changing the markup in that one instance. I think that might be doable.
I think there's a pull request that adds a theme hook suggestion that does that. That's one of the three solutions that's there.
That's one where I think we're teaching something that's totally like that's good, and not like just being ridiculous. But
yeah, that's a good compromise. I will agree. Anyway, see, I didn't think that was going to fly, so.
I mean, I think if we need to deprecate layouts, we can, but we don't have a use case for that. Like, there's no all the regions are the same. Why would you create another layout with identical regions to the ones you have? Like, we already have a tool for changing markup, and that's the theme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let's move on from that one.
We have. I was just gonna say there is an example of a contrib project that adds a new region that's a hero, and that's a good example of like adding new layout. You need new layouts if you're gonna add a new region.
Right.
So that's another approach.
Okay, so let's move on from that one. So anyway, some more thoughts on that one. I don't think that there's anything in the needs review status there, but maybe we could get something into that up to that point to actually be mergeable into the 1.5 branch. Let's see. Okay, the next issue that we have that is in the important bug fix category is issue 1920. Which is the manual module upload doesn't work in the installer module. But as I mentioned earlier, that bug has been fixed. Yay! So we can take that one off the agenda for next week because 1.5.1 will be out and that bug will be fixed. Hooray! All right. The next item on the agenda is the 1.6 minor release, which is coming up in January 15th, 2017. We're now doing a feature freeze, which will take place January 1st, 2017. So we have until then to make improvements to the 1.x branch to make the new 1.6 version release. The items that we've got slated of being of importance include issue 1087, which is the improve the rich text editor. I think this issue has actually been following us since 1.0. Like, maybe it's just because that's a large issue, but there's always improvements that can be made to the rich text editor, it seems. And so that issue is a meta. Since 1.2, oh yeah, since we added it, yeah. Because it wasn't in 1.0, of course. So anyway, there's a bunch of items in there. That's a meta issue. Most of them are up for grabs. If you're interested in doing integration into CK Editor, we still need people that have the time and interest to to take a look at any of those, and any improvement we can make, we can merge in a la carte as those improvements are made. The next item we've gotten here that is critically important has been bumped. Has it only been bumped once? The reference module? I can't
might have been
recall.
twice.
Yeah, I think it might have been bumped twice. So anyway, so now here we are at version 1.6, and it looks like this time we've got a real strong motivation behind completing the reference module, which is a generic node, user, term, any other kind of entity reference field as an option in core. That issue is issue 1301. But there's not a super amount of activity in that core issue because most of the activity is happening in the contrib module. Mike notified us just before the meeting started that he's making some more progress on reference module. He's de-escalating from trying to make a reference module or a single field that can reference multiple types of entities at the same time. Because there are a lot of technical challenges that were presented with that task. Entering content was pretty straightforward, but then listing it was incredibly difficult because there are different tables for like nodes and users, and if you've got both of them in a listing, like making a view of everything that is referenced within a single field is really difficult because there's multiple tables involved. So he's de-escalating from that rather challenging feature and just focusing on the type of entity per field that is added, which is great. That definitely simplifies things, and I think that it's the right level of complexity for core in the first place. He is looking for additional help. Let's see. He suggested. He needs help building out the tests, so there needs to be tests written for the reference module, and views integration needs to be rounded out. So he's looking for help in those two particular spots. If you can give reference module a shot, it's in the contrib repository, and then file pull requests against that module, and eventually that will be moved, the whole thing into core as a project. So. Let's see. Next issue is issue 1448, which is add a media/file entity solution. And I think this one can really get very large in scope. But the first step is to make files into their kind of like a top level entity, like we treat nodes and users and terms, that we should make a listing with views under the content section. So admin, content, and then files, and then make it so that you can manage files directly, such as deleting them or replacing them separate from the pieces of content that they're actually attached to. So that's step one. And then step two is potentially making them fieldable. Step three is then integrating it into the CK editor or the rich text editor dialog for inserting images. So that's a lot of, that could go on for a long time. But step one is really pretty straightforward. Make a view, make it so that we can edit files directly and delete them. And that should be a pretty self-contained project. And if we get that done for 1.6, that's a good start. Let's see. There's two issues that are listed in the agenda next, issue 2245 and 1886. And both of these are kind of related issues. They're both dealing with managing a large number of layouts, or I guess maybe not a large number, but managing the same or similar blocks across multiple layouts, like the header menu, for example, or the primary navigation menu. Like if you want to change the way that is displayed, you want to change the way it's displayed across all of your layouts, not just one of them. And right now it's a lot of work to go through every individual layout and update every instance of that block. So we have a couple of different solutions that have been suggested to handle that. One of them is making it so that you can configure a block, and then if you update it in one place, it kind of updates in all of them. And the other one is that if you could modify like a collection of blocks or an entire region and have that collection or region be the settings for that entire region or collection of blocks be applied across all layouts as well. So the first approach is 2245. The second approach is 1886. And we're still trying to figure out what the best solution is there. But I do think that thinking on those two problems there is great, because that would be a great UX improvement if users were able, site builders were able to more quickly modify their entire site all at once and not so much busy work. Okay, and then we've got one more issue for 1.6, and that is trying to work out a system for having pageless nodes or some other kind of entity that just doesn't have a URL. And that's issue 100. And that is all about making a solution for if you wanted to assemble a slideshow or something like that, or a carousel, items that don't necessarily have a URL but need to be reused across the site or embedded in other pieces of content. We'd like to figure out a good permanent solution to that problem. As you guys may know, in Drupal 8, they use blocks for that purpose. But in Backdrop, we use blocks. We consider blocks to be configuration in Backdrop, and in Drupal 8, they consider it to be content. So we have it's great from our perspective that we can now put a block into a layout and have that be exported as part of the configuration and moved across environments. But it's not so hot in that you couldn't very easily have like thousands of custom blocks, for example, as you would probably end up having if you had a carousel that had like regularly rotating content. You'd probably end up with thousands of those pieces of content over a long enough period of time. So that issue is still ongoing. I haven't checked into it recently, though. It looks like we're still kind of working out what would be the best solution there. So more thinking on that would be great, or if somebody wants to take a stab at just seeing how one approach or the other would work, that might be a good option too, because we're kind of stuck at a stalemate where we're talking ourselves in circles on that issue. Let's see, Jen, I think you may have added this one, menus and breadcrumbs cleanup. Could you elaborate on that?
I can if I can unmute myself. Yeah, that was something that Gregory mentioned last week, where ever since the new menu system went in, I think it was in Drupal 7, breadcrumbs have been sort of screwed up in Drupal, where there's some weirdness about how to get the breadcrumbs to actually match either the menu trail, or if you have pages that aren't in the menus, like you have to build like a fake trail for them to work. I was just looking through the queue to see if I could find a single issue on fixing menus and breadcrumbs, but it looks like there's about 30 menu and breadcrumb related issues. But I think the root cause might be something that we could clean up for all of those things. But I don't have an issue for it yet. So it's just trying to make breadcrumbs make sense to people, like it did back in the good old days. But yeah, breadcrumbs are sort of a mystery.
Okay. So, but we don't have an issue for that yet. It doesn't look like.
No.
523 is a meta for the menu mess.
There we
not
go.
Not for the breadcrumbs.
I think they're related. So I'm going to put that in here and we'll start there.
Okay, that's pretty much it for the 1.6 release, at least the features that we're focused on. It says more to be determined here in the agenda, but I think that expanding the scope beyond that is getting overly aggressive. I think that
Well, it might
that
be
would be
less
amazing.
too.
What's
Just
that?
like this list is not final. Like it might also be less than that.
Yes, yeah. Those are just the areas that we'd like to get accomplished for 1.6. It's not actually a guarantee that these things will ship. And if some other feature that is well suited to 1.6 comes along and is ready for production, then that's another option that that we may make that get into 1.6 as well. There's also an issue tracker, of course. That there's a tag for 1.6 that includes other issues besides those mentioned here, and you can find those on GitHub. Let's see. Oh, Gregory, are you in a situation where you can do the community update? No. Okay. Oh. Darn, it looks like the numbers aren't actually updated in here either. So why don't we skip the community growth section for this week? Because we don't actually have the numbers in here, but we'll do it next week. Or Jen, are you
Just adding one.
Okay. Okay, well, you're updating that. I'll talk about upcoming events. We have a section on our website, backdropcms.org/events. And of course, the big event that we're all excited about is BADCamp, which is coming up very quickly. We have both a training and a full-day summit and a presentation that will be going on at BADCamp. The schedule of which Jen is more familiar with, but I think that it is training is on the first day, and then the summit is on the second day. Well, anyway, we're really excited. We've got a really good set of things to be speaking about. If you're new to Backdrop, then you can attend the training. Or if you just want to drop in, you can attend the training as well. And then the summit is for everybody that's interested in working on Backdrop and improving it. You don't need to be familiar with Backdrop, and if you attend the training, you're more than qualified to also attend the summit. And we can work together to make Backdrop better and do it all in person, which might accelerate some of these sticky issues in which we've been talking in circles for a little while. So the summit is on Thursday. I got it backwards. It looks like the summit is on Thursday, and then the training is on Friday. And we have schedules or agendas that have been published into the agenda for this meeting that you can check out.
So the way the summit is set up right now, and I can definitely use some feedback on this for anyone who's there, is the first half of the morning is a very kind of high level, like what is Backdrop kind of thing. So anyone that's new and never heard of Backdrop before but interested in it could come and learn what Backdrop is. And then the very end of the day, it is reserved for discussion on what we should do in Backdrop 2, since there's going to be a whole bunch of people there who are very involved in Backdrop. I'd like to kind of take that time to work on our plans for the future where we can talk about it IRL. And we'll have someone take notes so we can post this online for those of you who are not going to be there. We can use this meeting the week after BADCamp to talk about what was talked about in person so that everybody is brought up to speed. But that way we can get all the people who are new and curious about Backdrop, the information they need about Backdrop. There's going to be a couple of case studies. We've got one from a site owner, one from a developer. We've got a couple of people talking about why Backdrop is important, including Nate and I doing a mini presentation on the philosophy. Jack is going to talk about why it's important to believe in something like Backdrop. Wes, if you want to add something, I've got a hole in the schedule I don't really know what to do with yet. And we've got people from Calabox and Theon talking about how Backdrop integrates with other things. So we're working out an actual timeline, but it's hard because there's going to be a bunch of hardcore Backdrop people and a bunch of I've never heard of Backdrop people. So trying to squeeze that all into one day will be interesting. It'll be fun. All right. We also are doing our normal backdrop talk on Sunday. So anyone who is interested in participating in that, I think it would be great to get as many backdrop people as possible kind of up on stage in front of the room of Drupal people. Oh, if we could stream the summit. I'm not sure the internet is going to be very good in that location. But we could try it. We could try and do like a hangout on air and see what it's like. And if it's horrible, we can turn it off. But good idea. All right. I think that's it for bad camp stuff. Anyone have anything else? Upcoming events we should talk about? When is Drupal South?
That's on the 27th and the 28th. So it's a Thursday and a Friday, the week after the next.
Okay, so it's the week after bad camp. So that's coming right up.
Yep. Still haven't got the slides there.
That's okay. Most Drupal people don't have slides for their sessions until that morning. You're way ahead of the game. All right, should we move on to general discussion? Is there anything we need to talk about this week that we haven't talked about yet today?
This is in the same category as bad camp, but I think it would be good if we could get together and schedule a separate meeting for everybody that's planning on presenting, just so that we all kind of can get on the same page and feel like we're prepared and know what resources we have and everything for the summit.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that's not going to work. There's no way we can get all these people in the same place at the same time. But we definitely can talk to everybody independently and make sure everyone knows what the plan is, and so that we're all on the same page.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a start.
We had a comment from Olaf in the Gitter chat of maybe adding something that allows you to create view modes along with references, because that can be pretty handy in conjunction with references. So I thought that was an interesting thought. He referenced ticket 315 for that.
Yeah, I would love to see that. That's something that was kind of a brain bender for me in Drupal 7. It's like, why do we have view modes but we can't actually use them, sort of thing. I would love to see that go in. I don't think it needs to wait for 1.6. It's just a UI feature.
It's a what?
Just a UI. It's like a form field on an existing UI.
I don't know. If it's feature, it has to wait.
Well, we can look at it. I remember looking at the module and thinking it was stupid that was a module because it really just belonged in core.
Agree. It's one of those things that was like, can I have that and not the rest of Display Suite? And then that happened eventually.
Yeah.
It had its own module.
Anyway. It's just like a UI that was left off.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that counts as a feature. It's debatable. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure I understand what the correlation with references. I feel like if you're going to use a teaser, I don't know. It's valuable with or without it.
Mm-hmm.
A good idea.
I think his link in Gitter is specifically just to a case for why it's useful with references, but yeah, okay. It's useful without it.
Yeah, the relation is the thing that when you reference something within other content, how you want that to be presented within that content needs to be a display of that reference thing.
Huh.
And Mike said he just switched that to the 1.6 milestone. Hooray!
It's practically in.
All right, cool. All right. anything else? Okay. Well, if not, that's great. It's a meeting. Hooray. As always, we're going to be working today, sprinting, working in the issue queue. Hopefully I'll get some more things merged in for the 151 release today. And you can check us out. We have a Gitter channel that you can find from the resources page on backdropcms.org. The primary place where we do most of our communication, of course, is in GitHub issue queue. So we will see you guys online. Anybody that is interested will stay online after the meeting and do any necessary planning for next week's meeting, which, wait, is next week's meeting during Badcamp?
Yeah,
Man,
I don't think we'll have
yeah.
a meeting next week unless somebody else wants to run it. Anyone who's not at Badcamp, if they want to just run through the agenda, we could do that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that after the phone call or after the meeting is
All
over.
right.
So let's say goodbye. If you want to talk about what we'll do next week, then stay on. So, all right, bye guys. Thanks for joining and thanks for watching.